Hello, wealth tycoons! This video will give you wings. From his birth, Chaleo Yoovidhya faced several challenges because of his Thai-Chinese family's low income. Chaleo Yoovidhya had to be resourceful while growing up in order to survive. In the little town of Phichit, he toiled diligently alongside his parents and brother, raising ducks and trading produce. Far from being wealthy, the family was struggling. All they were attempting to do was survive. Chaleo was forced to leave school, as are many other kids in similar situations. He prioritized sustaining his family over learning, not because he didn't want to learn. His parents merely wanted him to be able to support himself and endure in this harsh world. They had no idea that Chaleo would flourish rather than merely survive. In reality, he would go on to accumulate one of the world's largest fortunes. This is the story of the beverage Red Bull, which has gained international acclaim, as well as the man who discovered how to use lemons to create a multi-billion-dollar lemonade stand. Let's find out how this unfortunate boy got wings and flew through the world. Two things can come from living in poverty as a child: a strong work ethic and an expansive imagination. Both were in Chaleo. He was born in central Thailand in 1923. However, it's unclear exactly when he was born. His early years were spent farming, working hard hours, and wrangling ducks. Indeed, duck wrestling. Although breeding ducks is a good way for him to support his family, Chaleo soon understood that this would not end the cycle of poverty. He just needed a way out. Thus, in a well-known story of rags to riches, Chaleo and his elder brother made the decision to leave their little hamlet and move to the large city, more specifically, Bangkok. If you knew where to look, there were plenty of options in the busy, noisy city. Following some hunting, the brothers were hired as pharmaceutical sales representatives. Chaleo's actual education started at this point. Although he hadn't attended the greatest institutions, the pharmaceutical industry opened his eyes. He learned about the products, clients, and most crucially, what sold as he became acquainted with the ins and outs of the company. And boy, did that information come in very helpful thereafter. Chaleo started his own small pharmaceutical company in the 1960s after managing to accumulate enough money from his days as a salesman. Not that it was a big project, but it didn't have to be in the beginning. Chaleo was content with having his own business. He made minor adjustments to his goods throughout the years, but nothing could have prepared him for the revolutionary concept he came up with in 1976, an energy drink. It wasn't an elegant concept, it was actually fairly easy. He named it Krating Dang, which translates to red gaur, after a kind of wild bison that lives in Southeast Asia. Like the drink itself, the name wasn't particularly fancy, but it was powerful. Truck drivers, manufacturing workers, and anybody else who required an extra energy boost to get through long hours were the target audience for the recipe when it was created, and it took off rapidly in Thailand. Krating Dang bottles were selling like hotcakes, and people were using it to stay awake and focused. The beverage was syrupy and sweet, providing the quick energy boost that many workers required to do double shifts. Chaleo was experiencing some genuine success before he knew it. It hadn't quite made it to the major leagues yet, but the drink was still popular locally. Before we move to the next part, I would like to ask you that, if you like watching this video, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, as it will cost nothing to you, but a world to us. Let's continue. All of that was altered in the 1980s when Dietrich Mateschitz, an Austrian salesperson, came into play. Dietrich, like Chaleo, was not born into money. To be exact, he needed 10 years to complete his undergraduate education in marketing. He was 28 years old at the time he received his degree. However, Dietrich wasted little time after setting out into the world. After beginning his career in several firms such as Unilever and Jacobs, he worked his way up to become the director of marketing at Blendax, a German cosmetics company. He traveled the world for this work, including Thailand, which was a very significant journey. Dietrich discovered Chaleo's energy drink while traveling and was really jet-lagged at the time. The drink started to take action almost immediately. Dietrich was immediately intrigued after feeling his jet lag disappear. Right away, he recognized the product's potential. He eventually discovered who was responsible for the drink and arranged a meeting with Chaleo. The two quickly became friends and started talking about plans to market the beverage internationally. Dietrich possessed the marketing expertise, while Chaleo possessed the goods, an ideal combination for an energy drink. In 1987, Red Bull GmbH was established when Dietrich made Chaleo an offer for a 49% share in the company. Now, Dietrich was not happy to just offer Krating Daeng in Europe in its original form. He had other ideas, though. In order to adapt the recipe to European palates, he reduced the sweetness, added carbonation for a fizzy kick, and changed the label to include 2 Red Bulls. Soon after the formal launch of the brand, Red Bull cans made their way onto the Austrian market. Sales were not great initially. People were dubious about the drink because it was pricey. After all, who needed an energy drink? However, Dietrich never gave up. He was confident they would succeed if they could just get the product into the appropriate hands. Red Bull then launched their Guerrilla marketing campaign. They got inventive rather than shelling out large sums of money for conventional advertising. To give out free samples to partygoers, college students, and pretty much anyone who appeared like they could use a pick-me-up, they employed Red Bull girls. It was an easy concept. Give the product to their intended market directly and hope that word of mouth would spread. And it was successful. Students cherished the beverage. To stay awake during those long study sessions, or to help them pull all-nighters, they started grabbing a Red Bull. Sales gradually started to increase, and by the late 1990s, Red Bull was well known throughout Europe. Still, they weren't finished. The company began supporting extreme sports, teaming up with individuals and occasions that were brimming with energy and enthusiasm. Red Bull gives you wings became a catchphrase for pushing the envelope, whether it was skydiving from breathtaking heights or snowboarding into the air. When Red Bull financed the Red Bull Stratos project in 2012, it became one of the company's most famous publicity stunts. The goal of Austrian skydiver Felix Baumgartner was to surpass the record for the highest freefall. And shatter it he did, leaping from 128,000 feet above Earth's stratosphere. Felix broke beyond the sound barrier as he fell toward the ground for a few terrifying minutes. He set world records and greatly boosted Red Bull's marketing as the entire globe saw him land safely. The stunt was reported to have cost $30 million, but it paid off handsomely, enabling the company to surpass $500 million in sales that year. But over the years, Red Bull has sponsored a number of extreme events. Felix's jump was only one of them. Extreme performance has been the cornerstone of Red Bull's business model for decades. From Formula One racing to cliff diving contests, they market a way of life rather than just a drink. And it's been a really profitable way of living. Red Bull is currently available in more than 171 countries, and more than 9 billion cans were sold in 2021 alone. Over twice as much as they sold in 2011, 4 billion. With a comfortable 43% market share, they are without a doubt the dominators of the energy drink industry. What is the key to Red Bull's commercial success? To begin with, they are masters of the narrative form. In addition to marketing their goods, Red Bull also produces engaging experiences, events, and content. Through their production of documentaries on extreme sports and sponsorship of mind-blowing stunts, they have successfully established a brand that transcends beyond the simple sale of drinks. Their ability to remain true to their basic principles has also contributed to their success. Red Bull has consistently positioned itself as a brand for individuals who live life on the edge in their marketing, and they have done so since the beginning. Red Bull has maintained its identity over time, in contrast to other businesses that may rebrand or modify their slogans. Red Bull gives you wings is a familiar tagline that has been since the company's inception. Naturally, Red Bull has not had an entirely trouble-free ride. They have had their fair share of controversy, such as the lawsuit in the United States, alleging that their tagline was deceptive because, well, Red Bull doesn't really give you wings. Although the class action lawsuit did not significantly damage the company's reputation, it did result in a $13 million settlement. If anything, it made the brand more mysterious. You have a memorable product after all, if customers are complaining that your drink doesn't give them wings. It is also worthwhile to discuss Red Bull's advertising approach. They started releasing an animated series of commercials in 2000 that had a unique, hand-drawn look. Red Bull gives you wings, as one might expect from such an eccentric and amusing series of advertisements. Without overpowering viewers with ostentatious imagery or convoluted messaging, the commercials were straightforward but efficient in establishing brand identification. The fact that Red Bull has been able to produce material that people genuinely want to see is maybe the most brilliant aspect of their marketing approach. Articles, films, and anecdotes about athletes, extreme sports, and thrilling events abound on their website. What's even more shocking is that very little of this content promotes the product. Red Bull does not ask you to purchase a can throughout your hours-long browsing of their website as you watch videos of snowboarders scaling unfathomable slopes or BMX riders performing wild stunts. Red Bull has amassed a devoted following because of its understated marketing strategy. What is your takeaway from Red Bull's story? Share with us in the comments section below. If you like this video, I am sure you will love the video on the most controversial president of the United States, Donald Trump, and also the story of Ray Kroc, who built McDonald's.